Well, hello everybody and welcome to the live stream. We're going to be talking about how to charge more. This is going to be great for freelancers, going to be great even if you're working for a startup, working for a company. You can apply everything we're talking about today actually to your career in your job. How do you get raises? How do you make more? How do you earn more? How do you charge more? That's what we're talking about today. We got all sorts of people jumping in the chat. Hello to everybody. We are streaming this today on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on Behance, on LinkedIn for the very first time. And I can see and reply to your chat from all those spaces. Pretty cool. So say what's up to Deepanshi and Novo and Sahoib and all the other folks who are watching today. Thanks so much for joining me for the live stream. If you have questions, feel free to ask those questions at any time because I love to do a little bit of question and answer time. Okay. So why are we on this topic specifically? Why are we on the topic of how to charge more? Why would you want to know? Obviously, because you make more money. And before anybody watching goes, oh, he's saying charge more, he's saying charge unreasonably, he's saying charge things that are unfair. Nope, I'm saying that the large majority of freelancers and or creatives that I know are making less than they actually deserve. They're making less than they're making less. They're just making less, and that's bad. So we want you to make more. We want you to make what you actually are worth, what you are valued to make. And that's what this topic is all about. Not you charging intentionally fraudulent, mean, cruel, high rates, but the rates that you actually deserve to do the work that you actually do. That's what we want to talk about today. Let me know in the chat, what is your experience with charging? Are you afraid to talk about money? Do you enjoy the business aspect of design? Do you just want to show up and do the creative work and have somebody pay you? Leave me alone with all this business stuff you might be saying. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. We do have some questions coming in right now. So I tell you what, let's jump right now to a little Q&A. All right, we do have one question in the chat, and it's a good question, and it says, did ChatGPT affect UI and UX design? Have AI tools in general affected our jobs as UI and UX designers? Hey, before I answer that, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a thumbs up, hit the bell notification icon so you know when more live streams like this one happen. That way you can jump in, interact with me right here on YouTube and all the other places. Well, has AI and stuff like ChatGPT, has it affected your job? I'll tell you, not quite yet, but will it in the future? To a certain extent. And here's what always happens, and there's a certain type of person right now that's freaked out because they're hearing about AI and they're like, AI is going to take my job. Not if you level up and actually do the things that AI can't do right now. So here's what I mean by that. Years ago, everyone was freaked out about like web builders, right? Webflow and things like WordPress builders and like all these different things that would come out. And oh no, it's now taking my job as a front-end developer. No, it's not actually. What it's actually doing is alleviating all the cookie cutter junk and outsourcing it to the computer to do, right? So what happened was we said, hey, if you want a WordPress theme built, you can just use this thing over here. You can use this thing over here. If you want, you don't want to hire a developer, you can use something like Webflow or like, Editor X. We can outsource those things to different programs and technologies that are coming out. What happened to the front-end developers? What did they do? Well, they up-leveled their skills, and now they're actually creating complex web applications. They're learning React, they're learning Flutter, they're learning Vue. They're making sure that they're no longer just typing HTML in the computer because we don't need people to do that. We're better than that now, right? And so we've outsourced and then leveled up, and front-end developers actually became worth more as long as they could do quality custom work. The same thing's going to happen for designers. What's going to happen is you're going to see AI start to take over certain spaces in the design field. You're going to see AI start to generate rad layouts, like amazing different things. But will they ever be a custom tailored suit? No, they're going to be cookie cutter. They're going to be out of the box. They're never going to be able to, the computer's never going to be able to, this is a hot take opinion, actually have that human touch and actually serve the client their exact needs and what they need, right? So At least not for the next like 3 to 5 years. I'll tell you that right now. So what we need to do as creatives is be leveling up, getting away from the cookie cutter and start doing really beautiful custom quality stuff, which leads us right into our topic of the day. How do you charge more? How is your job not threatened by AI? How do you charge more? How do you level up? And how do you create value for your clients that creates revenue for you? Let's jump into this because I got 7 big points that we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over them fairly quickly and leave time for more questions, more answers. But if you are interested in having more hands-on time like this, consider becoming one of my design champions, one of my premium club members. I call them my design champs. They're the cream of the top. They've risen to the top. They're the best of the best. Wow, what a great movie from the 80s. Best of the Best. Anybody see Best of the Best? It's a karate movie, Taekwondo. It was good. So become a design champ. It's like the price of a cup of coffee every single month. You get more hands-on with me. Speaking of that, we're actually doing a design crit that's coming up, a design critique live, where we get to feature some of my design champs' work, and each of them get 10, 15 minutes to actually walk through and get feedback on their designs, on their work, or it doesn't even have to be work. It could just be a problem, but we do these every single month, and I'd love to have you be a part of that if you become a design champion. The link's down in the description. Okay, how do you charge more? Let's talk about the very first piece here, and that is you need to raise your rates every project by 25% until you start losing some projects. What? Why would I do this? If you're a freelancer, and let's say you're charging, this is going to be a horrible number, you're charging $25 an hour. You need to up that by 25%. I would actually say you need to up that by 100%, but let's just stick with this 25% rule. You're going to up that by 25%, and then you're going to continue to offer the services at that rate. If people say yes, up it again. If people say yes, up it again. If you just design per project base, right, and you do a website for $5,000, you need to up that by 25%. Now you need to sell that, or let's say 50%, okay? Because the math is way easier that way. If you're selling websites for $5,000, you up it by 50%, you're at now a $7,500 website, and then up it by another 50. Now you're up at $10,000 for a website, and you want to keep upping this number by your chosen percentage. I just put 25% in there, but it could be 50. You want to get real spicy, it could be 100. Keep upping your prices until you start losing projects. And this leads us actually right into point number 2, which is you should be losing 40 to 50% of projects to your competitors. You should be losing 40 to 50% of your projects. You don't want to be winning every project. You know why? Because if you're winning every project, you know that your rates are far too cheap. That people are going, sorry, what did you say? Yes, we'll take it. That's a great price. We'll take that price. And they're shopping you purely for price. You're going to notice a few things here. If you are raising your rates every time, you'll start losing some projects until you lose 40 to 50% of your projects. And when that happens, the assessment kicks in. Why am I not landing more projects? Now, here's the crazy thing. You can keep your rates at this raised rate that you have. Let's say you've raised your rates until they've gotten to $100 an hour, $125 an hour, $15,000 for a website. They're really high. And now you're losing 40 to 50% of your projects, potential projects and incoming potential clients. Well, what you can do is one of two things. You can either back the price down. We don't want to do that though. Don't back the price down, right? Or we can figure out how to raise value, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Raise your perceived value, raise your offering that you can actually give to your clients. So then you're staying at that high rate, you start winning more projects. Once you start winning more projects, you keep raising those rates until you lose 40 to 50% of projects again. And this is how you scale your business. This is how you make more money. This is how you make more money per hour, per project, per whatever. You raise your rates, assess your value, raise your rates again, and on we go. And you will stop being a slave to your low value or your low revenue that you're bringing in, where you're just constantly I need more projects. This is killing me. I don't want it to kill you anymore. I want you to do better. I want this for you. And to do so, you have to raise those rates, raise the value, assess, and then be losing 40 to 50%, okay? Here's the next big piece, and people get very scared about this. You need to talk about money early and often, okay? Early and often is what you want to do, okay? And as you are, what the heck? Yeah. Here we go. You need to talk about money early and often. That means, okay, that the earlier you can actually talk about money, the better it's going to go for you, okay? The people who can't talk about money don't make it. And that's a toughie. The people that don't talk about money are the ones that don't make money. So you need to talk about your minimum level of engagement. You need to talk about your hourly rates. You need to ask about budget early, and you need to be reminding people about payment, about money, about the budget often. Your clients who don't hear you talk about money think you don't care about money, therefore they don't care about giving you any of said money. So you need to make sure that you are talking about money early and often. This is really hard for a lot of people because to a lot of people, talking about money early and often could be a cultural thing, could be a familial thing, how you were raised. You feel like it's rude to talk about money, but it's not. It's just business when you talk about money. And it's going to set you up for success. I promise you that. So it's not rude to talk about money. What you need to do is bring it into the conversation early. Here's a couple of ways. Hey, new client, it's great to meet you. Great to sit down with you. I want to quickly just let you know that minimum level of engagement for us is X amount of dollars. Does that fit within your budget or the plan that you had? And if they say no, you say, okay, well, unfortunately, that is our minimum level of engagement. That's how we solve problems. That's the type of value that we bring. So we may not be a good fit for you. Can you tell me why your budget is X, Y, and Z and why we wouldn't be able to help you in this area? So it allows you to enter into a really professional way by talking about minimum level of engagement. You can do that. Another way is to ask about their budget. I've done entire videos about how to ask for a client's budget, right? Float the budget, say, hey, do you have a budget for this project you're thinking about? If they say no, you can add that minimum level of engagement to help them. If not, say, well, what type of work are you looking to get done? And then you can quote similar projects you've done in the past, right? You can say, hey, you're looking for a website, 10 to 15 pages built in, Squarespace or Editor X or something. Like, I can do that for you. We've done projects like that before. In the past, projects like that have cost, and then you bracket the price. You say anywhere between 20 and 15 grand, always starting with the high number, ending with the low number. You do that, you lay the bracket out for them, and you always answer with, does that work for you and your plan and your budget? And then listen. And if they say yes, right on. If they say no, we have to continue having that conversation. But do you see how we're talking about money early and often? Very, very important to do. Very, very important for you if you want to grow and actually make more money. Okay. Here's the next big one, because you're going to ask your client for their budget. You're going to float them a number potentially. What happens when they do say, oh, that's more than we had anticipated? That's not in our budget, right? That's over our budget. Well, here's the next piece. Point number 4, don't discount your price. Instead, try lessening the scope of work. So often people will say, hey, that's over our budget. Can you help us out? Can you do something for us? And you can really just clearly say like, absolutely. We love to work with our clients' budgets. We love to work. Here's what I can do. Instead of a 15-page website for the price that you're saying is in your budget, I can do something more like a 7-page website. And then we don't have to do the ... or the social media marketing with it. We could just focus on the website, and that'll get you everything you need, I think, to help you in your business. Does that make sense? Right? So the idea is that you don't want to discount your price. So if a client comes to you and says, we need a 30-page website and we want that for $5,000, don't say, oh, well, I usually do it for 10, but I guess I could do it for 5. That's you discounting the price for no good reason. And now you're not raising your rates. You're actually lowering your rates. You're lowering your value. You're not respecting the value of your own work. You can't build a business doing that. So don't discount it. Don't say, yeah, I guess I could do it for that much. Say, oh, $5,000 is your budget. I'll tell you what we could do that I think would be very successful for you, Mr. or Mrs. Client. I think what we could do is this lesser scope of work, and that would actually still help you to accomplish your goals. And so this is a fantastic opportunity. I would love to be a part of that with you, right? So you're selling the service, the lesser scope of work to meet their budgeted needs. This is really, really important. It's really, really effective. Before we move on, let's answer a few more questions. All right, we got a couple of questions in the chat right now. The first question is from Anthony. It says, I've got a small UX channel. I love to do a collaboration. Maybe, who knows? I like collaborations too. Reach out to me on my website, Anthony. Okay, let's move on. Is it necessary to learn front-end languages to be a UI UX designer? The answer to that question is absolutely not. You don't have to learn any front-end languages to be a UI or a UX designer. You just have to understand the medium for which you're designing for. So if you're designing websites and you're not a front-end developer at all, right? Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just understand, at the very minimum, you're going to want to understand what front-end developers need. That way you don't hand them crazy sorts of animations and everything's flying and whizzing and popping all over the place and go, it's easy, just do this, developer friend. No, that doesn't work. You're going to kill them. They're going to hate you. It's not going to be a good thing. Just like if you were a print designer, it makes sense to understand paperweights and paper stock and printers and CMYK versus RGB. It makes sense to know those things, right? Because it's the medium of which you're designing for. So do you have to code your own websites or know the language? No, you don't. But the more that you do know about it, the more empathy you have for your development teams and the better designer you can be to serve them. And that just makes, teamwork makes the dream work. You know what I'm saying? It brings everybody together. So do you need to know languages fully? No. Can it be helpful to understand them a bit? Sure. I think a really great way to start understanding some front-end languages is actually to start building Webflow websites. You start building Webflow websites and you will then start understanding like, oh, what is the box model and what is CSS and how does it cascade and why do I have to have a plan for all of that? All of those things are, a good idea. So that might be a good way to start for you. Okay, let's do another question. And this one comes from another question from Dipanshi. I don't like Photoshop. I'm trying to learn it. I've watched thousands of videos, but I'm still always confused in Photoshop. Photoshop's a confusing program. There's a lot to do in there. There's a lot going on in Photoshop. I'm actually releasing a video pretty soon about the bare bones basics of Photoshop that you need to know as a UI designer. So it's like the top 7 things that you would need to know. Forget all the rest of it. Just know these things and get really used to doing them in Photoshop and you'll probably be fine. So stay tuned for that on the channel and stay tuned for other cool things coming out. Of course, always subscribe, like, that would be always helpful. It helps the YouTube algorithms, people to see this video. So leave a little comment down below. I'd love to know what you're thinking about this video so far. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to our next point on how to make more money. And that is know the difference between price and value. And I know some people are out there right now going, what is the difference between price and value? We already talked about this a little bit, but the secret to charging more is actually offering high value. It's not necessarily offering more services. It's about offering high value. Okay. And when we talk about price versus value, price is the thing that you charge a client, right? You say, hey, you want a website? Here is the price. Pay that and I'll give you a website. The value is when they receive said website, implement it, launch it. How much money does that value make them? So really it's an exchange of value, right? $5,000 has a value to me if I'm the client. If I give you this $5,000, am I going to make that investment back? Am I going to make that $5,000 or more? Because what I'm really hoping is that if I give you $5,000, if I give you $10,000, that the $5,000 I've given you, the product, the thing you made for me, like a website that you've given back to me, is going to make me more than that. It has to make more than that. Otherwise, this investment, this price that you're saying doesn't match the value. And so if we know the difference between price and value, we actually cease to speak in the language of design, right? We understand that design, whether it's UI design, web design, all of these things are just the vehicle that allow us to bring Value. That's right. We want to bring value. So like my friend Jonathan Courtney from AJ and Smart taught me, always be speaking in terms of value. That means we care about how many leads you get, how much traffic, how much income, how much monthly active users, how many subscribers. Those are the things that I actually care about. So when I speak about a website, I don't speak about it like this. Oh, I can make you a website. It'll look really beautiful. It's going to be really great. It's going to be built in Webflow. The customer doesn't care. The client doesn't care what you build it in or how nice it looks or if the buttons are pink, orange, or blue. They could give two flying flips about what this looks like. What they care about is, does that button actually help convert users, subscribe them, make me more money, generate revenue, give me whatever. That's what they care about. So if we start talking about websites or the thing you're going to build or make, start talking about it through the lens of business. Man, you know what? Sounds like your budget is X, Y, and Z. That's a great price. I think I could definitely do something for you that would give you a multiplier of that value when we deliver the website for you. I think we could increase leads, traffic, and decrease the amount of cart abandonment that you have. Wow. What an amazing thing to say. That's high value for businesses. And we need to, as designers, know the difference between price and value. Okay. Here's the next one that you want to know about. All right. Point number 6, and we're actually almost done. Then we can go back to Q&A and finish our stream for the day. This is make your client more money than it costs to hire you. It's actually kind of in tandem with the last one, knowing the difference between price and value. Now, we as creatives, we as freelancers, even as members of a company, how much are you being paid to be an employee at your company? You need to bring more value than they're paying you. If you can bring in more value than they're paying you to be there, that's when you get a raise. As a freelancer, if you can bring more value than what they pay you, that's how you raise your rates. And so if we can make our clients more money than it costs to hire you, then you are worth more. You understand the difference between price and value. And now we are an asset that become very, very valuable ourselves. This is how people become return customers or repeat clientele. This is how you get word of mouth clientele. People always say, I say it all the time, the best way to get clientele is repeat or referral clientele. People go, well, how do you do that? It's real hard. I'm not getting any. Here would be my question. Are you making your client more money than it costs to hire you? If you are, they will come back to you. Just think about it. Think about this. If I was a shark on Shark Tank and somebody came in to the tank and I was a shark and they said, I'm looking for $50,000 for my business. And within the next 1 to 2 years, I will 10x that. I'll give you back $500,000. Take my money. You can have it. But if you come into Shark Tank and say, I want $50,000 for my business, and maybe in 6 years, you might get that 50 grand back. Maybe. I go, that's a bad investment, right? And creatives wonder, why am I not getting more repeat clientele? Why am I not getting more referral clientele? If I was a client and I paid you 10 grand to make me a website and it increased my sales over the first 2 quarters by 30 grand, I'm coming back and going, can you do more work for me? You're super value. Hey, actually, friends of mine also in business, you should talk to this guy or girl because they were really helpful. They made me a ton of money. So we need to figure out, what is your offering? What is your value offering? And how can you increase value for your clients? You do that and you make your clients more money and they'll come running back to you year in and year out. Okay. Here's the last one, super important to think about. It's this. If you look expensive, you will be expensive, okay? You want to charge more, you have to look like more. Some people might say, and I might agree with this, to stop positioning yourself as an individual freelancer and position yourself as an agency. Sure. Maybe, I don't know. I don't care about that. But you can be a freelancer and position yourself as really, really expensive. So here's 2 things that I recommend. Number 1, rework your website. And in your mind, think about, if I want to sell Louis Vuitton bags and I'm trying to sell them out of the trunk of my 1987 Cutlass, that's not going to be a good look. But if I get a beautiful storefront with beautiful architecture and beautiful displays in the windows and sell Louis Vuitton bags there, Is that going to be less of a disconnect than me selling them out of the trunk? Yes, it is. Even if they're real Louis Vuitton bags and I'm selling them out of a trunk, people are going to think that they're cheap. They're going to think cheaply, think I'm cheap, and offer me cheap offers or prices. They're not going to think the value is there. But put it in an expensive window, storefront, beautiful. When people walk in, offer them a glass of champagne, we're going, this is high class. This is worth it. And this bag makes sense, right? Okay, so if you want to be expensive, you need to look expensive. The two things I recommend is to rework your website and your online presence to look expensive, and then implement that minimum level of engagement that says, we don't do work for less than ... amount. Whatever that amount is for you per your current pricing and how you are tiering up or growing your pricing. So those are my suggestions to look expensive. But again, the 7 things we've covered today, and let's go back through them really quick and just recap, is raise your rates every project until you start losing projects. Once you start losing projects, you should be losing 40 to 50% of your projects. You should talk about money early and often. Early and often. Get it in the conversation as soon as you can. Don't discount your price. Lessen the scope of work and help meet your clients' budgets, not by discounting your value or your rate, but by lessening that scope of work. Number 5, know the difference between price and value. Because if you know the difference, number 6, you can make your client more money than it costs to hire you. You will have that repeat and return clientele. And lastly, look expensive and you will be expensive. That's it. That is how to make more money. If you take these 7 principles and implement them into your freelance business, implement them into your career at your job, you will get raises, you will get more money, you will have more clients, and you will grow in your business, whatever that business is. If you want to have more information like this, more hands-on, you want to learn directly from me like this in a more intimate way where you can actually meet me, jump up on stage with me, have hangouts and office hours with me, then again, consider becoming one of my design champions. Design champions get access to all sorts of cool stuff. They get invited to a private Slack channel, monthly meetups, office hours, discounts on all my products and courses and classes and workshops that I do, as well as access to a community platform where you get premium content there. Sometimes we do like interviews and videos here, and we only show 75% of them on the YouTube channel. The other 25% go to the design champions over there. And because coming up, we have our design crit in February. That's next week. So sign up this weekend before next week comes, and you can become a design champion and take part in that. That's it for today. Really quick, simple live stream. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing week. Hey, make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a thumbs up, hit that bell notification icon so you know when more videos like this one go live. I hope you're making more money. I hope you are crushing it at your business, and I hope to see you again in another live stream soon. Talk to you soon. Take care.